going on, everybody? My name is Eric Velasquez. This is Alamo City Agenda. We are here at the lovely Wild Barley Kitchen and Brewery. So if you have a chance, come on by. You can also stop by anytime you like. Their beer is amazing. Having their, it's a Southside craft soda, the Texacola. So what are you having, coffee?
I'm having coffee.
All right, so my guest is Ernest Salinas with City Council District 1. He's running for that seat. So tell me, first of all, how was your weekend?
It was a great weekend. Trying to get adjusted to this new time change, but hey, that's why I've got coffee.
I know, right? My kids were all, wait, we're going to sleep already? The sun's still out. Awesome. So tell me, you said you were the Delview president originally.
That's correct.
Delview has been in the media for a lot of times recently in the past couple of years. So tell me, what led you up to this point as far as to run for office?
Well, it's I'm a former 31-year employee from USA in community relations, and so when I left USA in 2015, it was it was going to fade away and retire and wait for my wife to retire. But I quickly got involved with the neighborhood association, and before you know it, I was vice president, and they made me president. So, it's one of those where they hook you and they bring you in, and so quickly found out all the issues that were going on. It started with a couple of temporary agencies that were bringing folks from Haven for Hope, and once they were there, they'd stay there and get into our vehicles, get into properties, and so we had this big meeting and that's what caused me to get involved, and created a neighborhood watch program and, kept an eye on the community. And it's all about the safety of our communities.
Gotcha. So, I know Delview's gotten a lot of flack with, people saying that you guys aren't being compassionate to the houseless people and all that. So what do you say to them and as far as how you will treat the people that are, in D1 that are, maybe are houseless? What's your plan of action, I guess, in a sense?
Well, and my plan of action, first of all, when people are complaining about the homeless, I call them beggars because I know them all by name, which is pretty bad. But they're, they don't want to do anything. They just want to sit around. When we had them at the District 1 office a couple of years back, it was an encampment. They urinate, defecate, buy, sell drugs, and it's not the homeless. Any homeless person, we've always said this. We want to help the homeless, and that District 1 office was just not the place for it. We were all for helping everyone get them situated. But the homeless person that's genuinely homeless is getting help. They're looking for resources, and they're getting those resources. And so the folks that we have that were hanging out there were just more of a criminal element. They'd get into our vehicles, get into our homes. We'd have senior folks calling me. I've got this guy in my backyard, and he's charging his phone. And so, that caused us to get more involved with the police, more involved with the sheriff's department, who came out one day and, set a foothold on our community, and going forward, how we would handle stuff like that. And so it's a very, I know it's a very touchy subject when it comes to the houseless, and so it's a work in progress. I mean, how do we plan on going forward? Well, our San Antonio Police Department and our DA office have to work together. They're not in sync. My biggest complaint is that, the community comes forth and calls the police when there's criminal trespassing. There's folks in there that are suspicious and stuff. And so if the police come and arrest them, they're doing their effort. And when they get downtown, they're released on time served. One of my questions to the DA was, why don't we work with some of these nonprofits? When you get a speeding ticket, you get an opportunity to go to class and get that ticket either reduced, dismissed, or whatever. We need to do the same to them. Education and training. Maybe there's something somewhere down the line the 501c3 can help them with to maybe get trained to do something and become a productive person in the community.
Yeah, I know they got rid of some of those. Just to make sure, if you guys can hear everything great, there's no issues, just give a thumbs up just to make sure. But there's been the issue of some of these organizations not having the ability to get people their driver's license, or different things like that. So will you try to do what you can to try to get those resources back to those organizations?
And you're talking about the houseless people?
Right. Or yeah, pretty much, yeah, that group.
Right. Well, and we've helped some of those people. I mean, we've taken them downtown to the church where they can get their license. But it seems like every time they get a license, they quickly lose it because of their lifestyle. And so we've helped with the San Antonio, the Hope Center, the Hope program the SAPD had. And so we're for helping them. We want to help them to become productive residents in our communities.
Gotcha. Anthony says, good morning. When you speak of safety, are you talking about keeping us safe from unlawful police activity? We need police reform. What do you plan to do? What do you plan to do to make sure cops aren't violating our rights? They need law training. Criminalizing the homeless doesn't work. You just said that they are released once they're arrested. Stop calling the police and then try calling social workers. So I know it's a couple of here. I'll put it right here so you can kind of read and see what.
Well, and so in Delview, we do work with a DHS person. The problem is that the resources are very limited. Very limited. So we've got folks out in the street looking for opportunity. So anytime there's an opportunity to take something and sell it and make money, that's what they're doing. When I talk about keeping our communities safe, it's about, Police Chief McManus will tell you, we've got enough police officers to take care of the emergencies, the things that go on every day in our city. What we don't have is additional officers to be in our community, proactively working together, working with our residents, and establishing those relationships with our residents. So consequently, we get people that are, the police, harass here, harass there. We need more police in our force so that we can be proactive in our communities and, tell people, hey, this is what we do. And, I understand sometimes you feel that some of these police officers, I spoke to this one gentleman the other day, and he does not want police officers in the neighborhood. He feels that every time he encounters a police officer, he's going to get shot. And I think the reason for that is that we're not communicating. We're not working together as a community. So that's what I'm trying to bring forth. And, and I'm a servant. I'm not a politician. I understand. I come from the south side of San Antonio, where, it's, I used to work for an old department store when I was in high school. It was the old Soul Serve. And so I would apprehend shoplifters. And I knew some of the officers way back when, mid 70s, that, they would come in and apprehend the shoplifter, and, they were tough. They didn't put up with anything. Now it's very, I don't see officers in that light anymore. Pretty much our police officers are pretty much, trained not to, we don't want to, what do you call it? Get anybody irate. They want to work actually with the people that they're, and they give them chances. They're given plenty of chances. So
some of them are. I've seen some that are just purely aggressive. You know what I mean? Like, especially for like some of those suspicious cases where, somebody's being called on somebody because they're acting suspicious, but they're not violating a specific crime. They're not allowed. They don't have to show their ID, but yet they demand ID to be shown. But it's a breach of constitutional right. You know what I mean? So there's those aspects and to where they're being overly aggressive. So I mean there's got to be a balance somewhere, right? Anthony says, then remove money from the police and start new programs. Obviously, police aren't the answer. So, so I think that has been kind of talked about with as far as people have said about defunding the police, but also removing some of the funds that are going to the police because it was like $500,000, almost $500,000 for public safety. So I mean, and then rerouting it to some other entity like after school programs or whatever it is. But I don't know. I mean, it's you have a divide of people not having any resources for some things to be able to go do to where they're getting in trouble, right? So I mean, it's a balance, right? It's
tough, right? Because you look at the city and you look at all the 501c3s that are aligned with the city. For example, Department of Human Services and some of the housing 501c3s. There's no room. There's no room for anybody else. Mm-hmm. But yet the city still is out there looking for people to help and offer resources to, but they're not taking them because there's nothing there. There's no resources available for them. Mm. So consequently, they're out in our streets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's where where is the money being funded to where it's better for the city itself, for the people, to be able to have a space to be able to go do things. I know when I went in, during summer, spring break, I would go to I don't know if Palm Heights. Palm Heights?
I do.
Used to go to Palm Heights. Yeah. So Palm Heights, and you go over there, and that's where
you have summer programs, kid programs, and I attended those programs as well. So where are those programs now? It's just
right
somewhere along the way, and I think we need to let's start auditing some of these 501c3s. Let's see where that money's being spent. And let's put some of those programs back in, for our kids. Mm-hmm. And also I've supported some of the core where, SAPD also has to get involved in the community and start, getting involved with the kids in our community.
Yeah, and not just a recruitment.
Exactly.
Because there's a line between, okay, we're trying to push for recruitment, but it should be okay. Let's help the city itself, not just hey, you want to be a cop.
And that's where it starts.
Right.
When you start shaping these young minds, I've got a little school right down the street, and every time the fire department goes over there for career day, and SAPD was down there for career day, these kids are going crazy, and they'll tell you, "Oh, I think I want to be a police officer, or I think I want to be a fireman." But you start shaping those minds early on, and eventually it becomes to a recruitment later on down the line.
Yeah. And that's difficult. Like for me, that's difficult thing because, to me personally, I would see it as it's a recruitment, just like how you would have the military come onto school and try to recruit you or whatever.
Right.
It's just one of those things like, okay, well, why don't we have other things, instead of just the police and all that stuff, and the career days that we have the career days, but what if we had something else like I saw one school do this. They had different professions, and kind of like how churches do it, to where they have the different groups that they have for their church groups. Like have that for
youth
different
programs.
Yeah,
different youth programs.
Yeah, and then have that for different job programs that they have. So
right, and that's what I'm talking about. Youth programs that they can get the kids involved in.
Yeah,
and keep them out of trouble. The main thing is to keep them out of trouble.
Yeah, and obviously you're not going to be able to help everybody, but got to go in the right step in the right direction. As I said, let's have a special counsel and investigate police misconduct so we can be assured the police who are working are not committing crimes, violating rights, and know the law. So I think you're referring to the Justice Charter. What are your thoughts on the Justice Charter thing that's coming up?
Well, I do not support the Justice Charter simply because it is a defund the police uh, uh, policy. The police need things. They need to be. You cannot defund the police. If we defund them anymore, they're going to be. I already get complaints that police officers are just sitting around doing nothing in their cars and their vehicles. If that continues, what use are we going to have for the police? Their hands are tied. I get it. I've talked to Joe Gonzalez, their DA, and cite and release. According to him, it's a policing tool. But some of the things that we're seeing is that some of these criminals are coming back to recommit crimes that are worse than what they got, than the first crimes that they've done. And so teenage crime is up. You've heard the stories where teenagers aren't going to school. They're going down to the border, picking up folks to transport to San Antonio, getting paid $1,500 a head. You've seen those stories. And that's where our kids are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's a big struggle with that as far as with, well, where are the parents? Where's all that happening? And make sure that you're trying to help, because at the end of the day, the root cause is the kids, right? Like as far as how they grew up in the environment, how they're being brought up, whether they're being exposed to, at such an early age.
Right.
It's kind of have to try to stop the cycle too.
Right.
And
so this justice policy, it deals with Class C misdemeanors, and so some of that is voyeurism. So you're cite and release all Class C misdemeanors.
Sorry.
Sure.
I was trying to plug this before it dies and I can't see it. So, my bad. Sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell everybody about yourself, like who you are, like kind of background. I know you said you worked at USAA.
Correct.
Actually, what's your vision for D1?
My vision for D1, again, I've said I'm not a politician. My vision for D1 is bridging all neighborhoods. We've got many neighborhood associations, but we also have areas where there's no neighborhood association. We need to be building bridges towards that goal. I think a well-connected, well-communicated, if we communicate across the board, will be a very informed district, and we'll be able to make good decisions. We need to get the voters out here to get out and vote. When you've got 10 to 17% of the voting population that comes out to vote, you're really not experiencing freedom.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because how do you get people to come vote? You know what I mean? That's
when they put it off on somebody else, like, oh, go ahead and vote. I'm not going to vote. If it's not issues, but I think we need to be dealing with all issues
right
across the board. Being an engaged community.
Right, exactly. That's the whole point of this show, is just to have people try to engage, try to in real time, and just try to be able to figure out what's going on. Because a lot of times nobody knows what's going on in the city, and
I think that's the problem too. So communication lines are broken between the city and its residents.
Mm-hmm.
It's stockholders. I went to CPS Board of Trustee meeting the other day, and they made a decision here to shut down the spruce plant. Well, where was that information to the stockholders that this meeting was happening? Who showed up? Only the lobbyists and about 3 people that were against this spruce plant shutting down. Mm-hmm. And so my question to them was, well, where did you put this information out? How did you get this information out to your stockholders? Well, we put it in the newspaper. Well, who's reading the newspaper? Or where in the newspaper? They're going to have to go look for it. Oh, we put it on social media. Where on social media? I said, why don't you put it on the statement so we know important meetings that are coming up for the Board of Trustees? And so they kind of said, well, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Why hasn't it been done? So of course, and I say there's just not enough transparency.
Oh yeah.
Not enough transparency. Yeah. Communication lines are broke. And so this is some of the things that I want to fix. I want to make sure that the residents of District 1 are well informed of what's coming down the pipe. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, definitely. Transparency is a big thing. Just real quick before we continue, this thing is not going to charge because I guess this cord is not a charger. So I might not be able to see the comments, but I don't know if you can get on your phone and just look up. Just if you want to have any questions or comments or questions, go over to the Alamo City Agenda Facebook page and just comment on there because this tab is going to go down. So unfortunately, but yeah, if you can just comment on the Alamo City Agenda Facebook page, and then I'll have Ernest kind of go in there and just we'll read the comments off of there. Okay. So sorry about that. Okay. So tell us about the district. Tell us about the district as far as what you're hearing and seeing yourself from yourself and like the neighborhood residents that the biggest problems of D1 are.
Well, the biggest problems from residents that I'm hearing from is it's crime. Crime is up. The other problem is the homeless issue, and of course, property tax.
Oh, man, property taxes.
Taxes. And those are the top three issues that I think we've got to deal with. Of course, crime. Like I said, increase in teen crime as well. Mm-hmm. Those are something that we have to get, a hold of and control.
Yeah.
And homelessness the city just created a whole new department called the Hot Shots that all they do is come around and pick up after the homeless, these encampments and stuff. And so I've got neighbors now asking me, so can I just throw my trash out in the street and the city will take care of it? So it's a no-win, right? So, I mean, everybody wants to, and I think we need to start paying attention to what we're doing with our tax dollars. We can do some great things if we put tax dollars to good use.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is oh, man, because we look at the budget and again, most of it is going towards public safety, but also other entities as well. But we look at, okay, well, what's the solution for?
Right. And, I've looked at that budget and the safety budget. Wow.
Yeah.
I see it and now all I can say is wow.
Yeah.
But it's needed, right? Because, you see all these shootings, you see all these, and of course, SAPD will not chase anybody in the city, but Bexar County will. But, I mean, if we didn't have a budget for that, can you imagine the crime we'd have?
Yeah. So what do you say to the people that are saying, well, it's just a scare tactic? Oh, well, you don't have the police, there's more crime. What do you say in response to that?
Well, it's not a scare tactic. I mean, trust me, come to Delview on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night and see some of the things that are going on there. We've got this takeover group, these hot rodders come around and terrorize our communities. Shots fired. I get complaints all the time. Hey, somebody's shooting over there, somebody's shooting over there, other this parking lot or that parking lot. Well, what are we going to do about it? Together, how do we take care of those issues? And sometimes it feels like folks just want somebody else to do that, take care of that problem. I think we need to be an engaged community, like I said, together working on solving issues that, that we can take care of.
Yeah, for sure. So, what was that first step of putting your hat in the ring for District 1? What was that feeling like? You go in there and you put in your, you sign up and everything. What were your thoughts after you did that?
After I filed, is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, to me, I was laughing when I heard this, but somebody called me that day right after I signed and filed for District 1 candidate, and they told me, "Hey, there's a active shooter at City Hall," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, because they just posted it. There's an active shooter at City Hall." I said, "Well, I just walked out of there." I said, "I'm here in the porch. I'm here in the front." I said, "There's no active shooter here." So I quickly started looking around, like, "Okay, where's the guy? Let me get out of here." But I thought that was kind of strange. I said, "Wow." I said, my wife like, "Well, I don't see anybody."
Man, well, that's good. That's good. It wasn't anything. Yeah, when I remember when I did that, and I filed to run, and then it was the next day. I got hacked in my Twitter by some Russian entity. I'm like, what's going on here? Am I getting hacked by the Russians already? I'm not even. It's like, I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Otherwise, it's been a good experience. I mean,
good.
yeah, it's been good.
It's a lot of work, right?
It is a lot of work.
Block walking.
Block walk, talking to people. I had my wife out with me Saturday, and she goes, "I don't know how you talk so long." She goes, "I'm good for a couple of hours, and I'm done." But it is a lot of work. It's a lot, but that's just what comes with the job. That's just part of it. And you look at this, and it's a big, when I talk about running here, this is, to me, I don't need to work, but this job is important because it's a big customer service job. And if we're going to reach world-class status here, communities working with the city, and communication lines open, building the community and networking within community, it's a big customer service job. And I'm not a developer. I'm not into real estate, but you better start asking questions, because some of these candidates coming up are developers, are into real estate, and what's coming down the pipe? Gambling's coming down the pipe. We need to be proactive and look at these issues and say, okay, so what's the future of our police department? What's the future of our downtown area if gambling passes? Are we going to be giving them tax abatements to be here?
Give everybody else tax abatements.
or if the gambling people come in, are they going to pay for our property tax? I'd vote for that. There's a lot of questions, and I think people just need to start paying attention and see what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem, is there's a lot of businesses that get those tax abatements, those tax breaks, just that way they can come here, and it's not helping the community itself. Right. To a point. Like
I've always said, we don't need to sell San Antonio. San Antonio sells itself. Companies that want to come here, they would be smart and say, hey, if San Antonio is the place to be, that's where we need to be. Not asking for tax abatements, because who's left holding the bag? All of us.
Yeah.
Everyone else that pays property tax. So property taxes go up because we're giving these developers 30, 40, 50 years tax abatement.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened to. Yeah, and that's the thing is that there's a lot of these entities. You look at like at Graystar that is buying up a bunch of properties in downtown. They just bought the that Hemisphere Arena, not the arena, but the where they have Nyosa.
It's the cultural.
The cultural, yeah. The round building.
Right. And I believe they want to do that because they want to put a baseball field on that piece of property.
I was going to ask you about the baseball fields.
A professional baseball field.
Well,
and look at this. So I don't know if you remember back when the Alamo Dome was built. I know everybody kept talking about, do you want a professional football, team? And the Alamo Dome was supposed to be this dual purpose professional football, professional baseball type building. And people were like, everybody was for it. Everybody's for it. They even said, okay, we're going to, your sales tax, if I'm not mistaken, was about 5%, 5%, something like that. They jacked it up to 8.25 only for the duration of the Alamo Dome being built. And then it was supposed to go back down to 5%, 5% sales tax. Well, the Alamo Dome was built.
Yeah.
The sales tax didn't go back down. So,
Yeah.
I'd like to see, of course, again, no transparency. They run on a different agenda,
Yeah.
and so, here with gambling too. I mean, what we need to start looking and seeing what we're going to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah. The abatements have to stop at some point, like because you look at the Grand Hyatt, they did the tax abatements, but also the city had to go and buy it back.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, again, it's in it again that type of it's a waste of taxpayers' money.
right.
And people work hard for the money. While you're working 8 to 5, you don't
Right.
know what's going on in the city, what the city's doing.
Yeah.
And I think this is this is the issue, is that city government's spending a lot of, or I'm gonna say wasting a lot of money on pet projects. And
A lot of those. um, okay, so let's go with. Can you pull up the thing?
see if I can get
See.
it on here.
Sorry, guys. If you're commenting on some of the other pages, go to the Alamo City Agenda Facebook page. I can't read it because the tablet died on here, but if you can go on the Alamo City Agenda Facebook page and put your comments there, we could see them there here shortly. But give us 1 second.
You can open
All right. So, as far as, are you for or against the CPS rate hike that's going to happen next year?
Again, I'm against any tax, increase in rate. I think, as we the stockholders, again, no transparency. Europe right now is going back to burning coal for energy. We're putting all, in my opinion, we're putting all our eggs in one basket. I think we need, I believe looking to the future. I mean, I have solar panels in my house, but I think it should be a process that's not being shoved down your throat all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It should be, let's start a process, and let's start with common sense. Let's start with common sense, not just what's going to cost us this amount of money. That to me is more of a federal, something for the federal government to handle, not here at the local level. Let's use common sense here at the local level to save energy and to not pollute, be smart.
No corporate bonuses.
Okay.
I know that was a
Don't
big
even
thing.
get me started on that.
Do you think so? I'm assuming that you're maybe willing to work on the rate structure for the CPS energy as well.
Well, in the last meeting I attended, there was somebody brought up a situation where somebody owed over $10,000. That, to me, well, why do you let it get it up that high? So here somebody's got a bill for over $10,000, and I'm thinking, so what are we doing here at CPS? Who's managing that? More of a case of mismanagement. So, yeah, I want to pay closer attention to those types of situations, and bonuses.
Yeah.
And bonuses.
So do you think, as far as like with disconnections, what are your thoughts on, say, just disconnect those people if they get laid, or what do you?
Well, I don't know. $10,000 it's a lot of money. So what is it, a business? I don't know if it's a single family home, but some of those things need to be looked at.
Yeah. Do you think there should be a little bit more stricter process for the businesses than the like the homeowners, especially like a low income family?
Well, low income families are I know they're struggling, especially here post COVID. It's been tough. I've always asked myself, I said, how do these people do it? How do they do it? Because even you look at some of these folks, and they manage to pay their bills. They're resilient. And if they can do it, Yeah, because I still ask myself, like, how do you guys do that? And we need to continue with aid, uh, with resources for them. And again, we've got plenty of resources here in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, let's look at some of the things that's going on with those programs.
Gotcha. Let's see here. So the baseball venue downtown. What are your thoughts on that? Like, you for it, or you like? We need to like just hold off on that.
Well, here's the issue. I love baseball. I love baseball. But if I'm going to have to go downtown and fight for parking, I'm just not going to support it, right? Uh, and to me, I believe I'll be supportive of a baseball field if it's not right in the downtown area. I know we want to look like Boston. I know we want to look like Houston. I know Dallas. But I think we've got plenty of other areas we can move these stadiums to, and share the wealth with the other parts of the city. Something that'll, if we put that over there, maybe on the south side. I know when on the Alamo Dome was
It already is on the south side.
What's that?
It already is on the south side.
Well, the south side of the inner city, but let's put it outside somewhere where there's plenty of room to park. People are happy to go and park, and get into these. Instead of, I went to the Elton John concert not too long ago, and
oh, jeez.
from what I'm understanding, some people missed the show because they couldn't get parking.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't get to that point. We should have plenty of parking for these events. Because I'd love to see baseball here in San Antonio, especially a professional baseball team.
Well, that's the thing. I don't even think it would be a professional. I think it still would be like the Missions, wouldn't it?
I don't think it's admissions. And I can't remember what they were saying, what class of a baseball team, but
it was it double?
It boils down to parking for me. It boils down to parking.
Yeah.
And I believe they're going to need 7 acres or something to that effect. And so, what does that mean for the apartments across the street from there? Are those going to get torn down? Are we going to be displacing people? Are we going to dig in more into the Hemisphere area property? It's a great idea. Yeah.
But that's the thing is, though, my worry is you look at the Missions baseball, right? A lot of people are complaining that it's so far out, okay, but it's still on the south side. Like you were saying, it's on the south side, southwest side. There's plenty of parking for what I can tell there, but they want to move it over. And then you're looking at the Spurs too, that are having decline in attendance. And even the rumor of, the Spurs moving to Austin, a lot of people don't think that's going to happen, but you just start seeing a lot of advertisements. Hey,
right.
There's signs in Austin that are promoting the Spurs, not the Austin Spurs, but the San Antonio Spurs. And you're like, what's going on here? It's a worry of, well, we're going to put all this money in like we did with the Alamo Dome to attract, the Raiders, where there was that hopeful thought they were going to get the Raiders, and that never happened, and it still hasn't happened. Yes, we did get the Brahmas or the XFL, but it's in their first
Let's
year.
see how long it lasts.
Yeah,
I mean, we've had many teams, the Riders, the
Commanders.
The Commanders. And so, that says one thing. They depend on corporate money to buy sponsorship packages, sell the concession stands. A lot of that, they're dependent on big corporate Valeros, USAA type corporations to fund those packages, and bring their employees in. It's interesting. It's interesting because I know when the Saints were playing here at the Alamo Dome, I mean, we were trying to take the Saints and make them San Antonio Saints.
I remember they trained at Burbank where I was going to school. I was like, oh, hey.
Man, we were pulling all the stuff. Like, come to San Antonio, and I was like, well, it would be nice, but
But it was kind of like what you're saying is we shouldn't have to sell San Antonio.
Exactly.
But I think that's what, with the Alamo Dome, with the AT&T Center, even trying to keep the Spurs here because they wanted to leave or they wanted to have a stadium, trying to build another baseball stadium. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we are trying to sell San Antonio, and what's going to be the end result to where we're just shooting ourselves in the foot to where we're trying to attract these people here, but nobody wants to be here or nobody wants to go out and enjoy these
The
games.
money is not there,
Right.
right? I mean, a normal family wouldn't be able to afford season tickets.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you're looking at. I mean, when these type businesses come in here, they need to have season ticket buyers.
Yeah.
Flat and simple.
Well, and to be honest with you, the missions did call and ask about us, doing season tickets, and we're like,
Yeah.
But
if we can't even support that,
right?
I mean, I love going to the mission games. I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
The location's okay. Beautiful baseball field.
Yeah.
I love that field. But it boils down to, can you afford the tickets?
Right.
You know, and are we going to be able to sell the tickets? And this is where I say these organizations depend on corporate America to buy those ticket packages, and to survive.
Well, and that's the thing is if you're depending on that and not just the regular person or a family, then there's obviously going to be an issue, because at some point those corporate entities are going to be like, all right, that's it,
Well, at some point, they've got a bottom line too.
Yeah, and it's like the people, if they're not willing to go, like, you look at Splashtown, people are like, oh, let's not get rid of Splashtown, but are you going?
Are you supporting it?
Are you supporting it
financially?
Yeah. And you're not, because it was pretty expensive. I looked at some of the things. I'm like, wow,
some of the ticket packages.
I was like, wow, for Splashtown, but that's the thing is they do have to keep themselves afloat. But
look at Six Flags. I mean, Six Flags too. USA, when they built that up and invested all that money there, it's a good site. And a lot of the tourist people come in and they go to Six Flags there. But also, I've seen where they give away free tickets because they're just
Well, I mean, you look at when you get in there, you're going to spend some money,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's just getting people there to locations is where it's supposed to be at. And again, guys, if let me turn this because I can't see this. Ann Elgert says, "What will Ernest do to help put residents first?"
What I would do is putting residents first is keeping our community safe and clean. We need to all be engaged in the district and in the city, as far as I'm concerned. Communication lines have to be open. We need to start building bridges, engaging residents to get involved. Most importantly, we need the residents to come out and vote. Voting is critical. We need to protect our seniors. We need to protect our families with children. Here you see school districts losing kids. So we need to get more affordable home ownership, and let's cut back on this housing projects, that these big building developers coming in and buying up property. No single family wants to wake up in the morning, look out the window and see this 5-story affordable housing project going. I think we just need to get more of a tax base, get some home ownership, and it's got to be affordable home ownership so that everybody can live the American dream.
Yeah. Well, okay. You say that, but the city is really, you could tell the city is really wanting to have this as a renter city.
Yeah.
Because almost half, and then this was back in 2019, 2020, almost half of the people in San Antonio were renters. Almost.
Well, and when I look at Delview, when I first got involved with Delview, 52% of Delview were homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
The rest were renters. If you look at it now, it's the complete opposite. About 52% of Delview are renters, and the other 48% are homeowners. So we're declining. We're declining. And is it because buying a home is not? When you look at the price of a home now, and I think what's the median, $300,000.
Yeah.
Who can afford that? You know, I'm from the South Side, and I've seen some property, little homes that you could have picked up, 10, 12 years ago for 50,000. You know, are now like 300 and something thousand.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's a little shack. There's nothing to it, nothing special. But that's how crazy real estate has gotten. And
well, that and also because people aren't protesting their property taxes.
And that's one thing we need to start doing. Everybody.
And the common thing that I would hear is, well, that's going to devalue my property. No, it's not. Protesting your taxes does not devalue your property to a buyer.
It just means that you're going to be paying least valuation price on your property.
You're less money to the city,
less money to to the state, actually, to the county. And but yeah, it's I know somebody personally who's like, oh no, I'm never going to protest because I want my property value to be high.
Yeah.
So, and I was saying, but you're paying for that high valuation,
right? Which it's not going to do anything. Yeah, it's not going to relate to your.
If you ever decide to sell your house, sell your house at whatever price you want, but it's got nothing to do with your valuation. And so no, in Delview we have one of our residents that absolutely, and I'm going to plug her in here if you don't mind. It's Texas True Tax, who has been working with the Delview residents for the last five years. We get together and we put on these little seminars and we ask people to protest your property tax. And we do it out of this, I'm going to do another plug-in for the La Cabana Worship Center, which is the old Boy Scout cabin at United Methodist Church, St. Mark's United Methodist Church in the back, which has been revitalized between the community and the church. And it's a venue for Delview residents to get out there and put programs together. We've done workshops on how to start your own business. We've done a Citizens on Patrol class. We've done, an array of other classes that we put forth. And so when I say we're engaged with the church, we're engaged with the pastor, we're engaged with the residents. And that's what I'm talking about, communication lines, building bridges, building relationships. But absolutely, I mean, please protest. I mean, you should, this is the time to do it now. Get out there and protest your property tax. In addition, if you are a homeowner, make sure you get a homestead exemption. Don't forget your homestead exemption.
Right.
And I think if I were getting into council, I mean, I would raise that homestead exemption to 20%, the limit. I mean, we're good at taking your tax dollars, and I think we should be good stewards and say, hey, thank you, and here's 20% discount on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I did a class on how to protest your property taxes with the chief appraiser on the show like this, and it was the most engagement they had ever had. They told me, and I was like, "Oh, really?" And so now I'm glad that the city is now doing property tax workshops all around the districts. So,
and some of those I've attended some of those classes. They're high level. They're telling you just protest, but when you get into the detail, it's some little things that can go a long way.
Oh yeah.
When you protest your property tax, and when you get called for your informal, I'm gonna give away my secrets.
No, do
when
it.
When you get called in for your informal, go to your informal, and then go to your formal protest. Take both protests.
And here's the thing, though, and I will let you know that with what I figured out is you don't even have to go to informal. All you have to do is just go online, protest the tax. They send you an offer. Then you say, no, I reject it. And then you'll go to the formal. You don't even have to go to the office. You just do it online, 5 minutes. Then they send you a formal interview later on. It takes about 6 months to even get the formal interview, but from the start process to that. But all you have to do online, you get your property tax amount. You say, I decline it. They send you an offer. That's your informal. You reject it. and then they will say, okay, then you will go to the formal, and that's where you either show up or you could do it on the phone. You do not even have to go to the office anymore. So if you're like, well, I don't want to have to go all the way down there, you don't even have to. I had my phone interview. It was a formal interview. It took about 15 minutes from start to finish. I lowered my taxes $64,000. Well, the rate,
Right.
the adjustment. So, you know,
The valuation.
yeah, evaluation. It can be done. You don't even have to go to the office anymore. So maybe if that was a deterrent for you, just do that. So that way you don't have to even go down there.
And here's the thing with the informal: if you show up, or if you even just do your informal, and they give you a valuation, so when you go to your formal, that's where you start your valuation from. Right. So if you got a $300,000 valuation and you you go to your informal, they say, okay, we'll do 275,000 valuation. And I said, no, thanks. I'll go to the formal. So when you go to your formal, you're actually starting at 275,000. So it's good to do both. Yeah, informal and formal,
and every year. And have to do it every single year, even if you just bought the house. Still do it that year. Doesn't matter.
So again, reach out to Texas 2 Tax.
Yeah, for sure. And says specifically the people. Oh, this was as far as with the putting residents first. Specifically, the people roaming neighborhoods, selling drugs from bicycles, and hiding down in the concrete drainage ditches. How is that safe for anyone? So I think you did answer that.
Well, and so again, so some of these, we've got an issue there in Delview where, they're under the bridge. They're in the Martinez Creek.
They're still in
the water tunnels. But it's as soon as we get them cleaned, they come right back. You know, I was surprised one time I went by there and it took like 2 truckloads to get all that stuff out of those water channels. That's dangerous. That's dangerous because if we get a flood, all that's going to back up, and who's going to suffer is the homeowners, because we're going to get our homes flooded. So it's a dangerous situation, and we need to take a closer look at that, maybe put fencing around it so nobody gets in there. And you name it. I mean, mattresses, furniture, everything is down there. I'm surprised at some of the stuff I see. It's just, I can't believe it. But anytime we have bulk pickup, they're running around the streets picking up things and taking them down there. So I would say it is a public safety concern, and I think we need to address that going forward.
Gotcha. And again, anybody watching, please go to the Alamo City Agenda Facebook page, because can't see any comments right now from the other pages. Only on the Alamo City Agenda Facebook page. So if you have any questions, please go to that page, because I can't see the other ones right now on the other pages. So sorry about that. Okay. So what do you do for self-care?
For what?
Self-care.
Self-care.
Yeah.
Do I exercise?
Or like anything that just like, okay, it's me time.
Me time. You know, I like hunting and fishing. I like fishing. And I can handle stress pretty well. Me time is hanging out with my family. I've got a son up in Arlington, so after this, we're going to go visit.
Nice.
My daughter just got back from up there. They went, her and her brother went skiing. So after this May 6th election, find a little time to get up there and just relax a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome. What's your, do you have any hobbies? Like any?
Well, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say, I've got a hobby that I'm going to, actually, I've got a 1942 Dodge military truck that I want to restore. So I'm going to work on that. And I'm looking for some other little projects to do, but that's tough. My wife kind of like, okay, what do you, when are you going to start on these projects?
It's like, don't be a hoarder.
That's exactly what she tells me. Why are you hoarding all this stuff? I say, well, it's good stuff.
I can use it later.
I'll go and pick parts and stuff. So she's constantly on me, but it's good. It's
Yeah.
good that she's constantly. I guess it'll get me motivated.
Got ADD
Put
a
my
little
project
bit.
to work.
Like, oh, I'm gonna do this. No, let me try this. No, I got you. Oh, the construction in D1 right now. That's a hot mess.
That's a hot mess. It is.
So, what are your plans to make sure that that doesn't happen in the future? What do you think that the city can do that'll prevent something like all these projects that are, um, you know,
Right. And that's a great question. I've got a business continuation plan. So my plan is to say, hey, before we start any construction projects where there's small businesses, the small business owner has to be at that table. It has to be at that table because if it concerns their business, we need to have them there, have a seat at the table. And let's look at the scope of the project, from start to finish. How long, and let's agree upon a time where this project will start and end on a certain date, and it's agreeable to both parties. We also have to set up and say, hey, if you're not through by this date, now the construction company puts in a certain amount of money into an escrow account, where if now the businesses start suffering because of that construction, they can draw money from that escrow account. And let's let the San Antonio Area Foundation run that account. We don't need to put it in the bank. Let's all the small business owners would have to do is apply for that money from the San Antonio Area Foundation. And that way we can help our small businesses flourish.
Yeah, that's but that's the thing is a lot of the construction happened. All that was voted on about before this current council members.
Correct. That's been ongoing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that people also do have to understand that a lot of those things happen way before.
And we need to start looking also at maybe we need to start rating these construction companies. And I would say we need to start hiring local. Some of these construction companies that I've seen, they're from Dallas, Houston. Let's start with construction companies. We've got plenty of construction companies here in San Antonio. Let's use local construction companies, local businesses to do these jobs.
Yeah, definitely. How are you going to navigate the politics of everything? And not get sucked into.
I know, that's a good question. I always tell people, people get into these, and again, I'm not a politician, I'm a servant. So I'm already hearing rumbling as to, Ernest Salinas, I don't know. I'm upfront, I'm honest, and it's got to benefit the residents, the taxpayers. We got to fight for the taxpayers. I don't plan. My ambition is not to run for. And I've had questions like, "Are you going to run for mayor? Are you going to run for a Senate seat?" I'm like, "I'm not even there yet." I said, "Let me get into council at least." But I don't have plans for that. I'm old enough right now to start drawing Social Security, so I don't plan to be doing this forever. But sometimes it's just a start and cutoff point, and that's it. You do what you can with what you got.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts on the transportation aspect of the city itself? Do you think it needs work? Do you think that it is at a spot where not much can go forward?
Well, and there's another one. So your sales tax goes to pay for VIA. And they do, what is the charge of $1.30 for, so now one thing they're working on is the rapid transit down San Pedro. So some of the issues there, some of the businesses don't want it simply because of the construction and and how it would affect their small businesses. That is something that was passed. Again, people that I ask, hey, did you know this meeting was going on to pass this? A lot of people are like, we didn't know about it. And then all of a sudden just got passed. So when they created this transportation authority, and you look at it now, so now they're getting into development. So the Central Transit downtown, so here's the game plan is to build affordable housing. So I guess they're going to build affordable housing with no parking, so people are forced to ride the bus. interesting, but we've got VIA now in the development, business. And so do we really want that? I don't know. And so we have to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
It's just, work at it, tweak it, do something that, ridership, people that I know, I think I've only known, I only know one person that rides the bus. This, the city prides itself on its pickups. Texans love their pickups and their vehicles and their freedom, right? So they don't want to be, told what time they need to take the bus to get to work. So touchy situation, and it's,
Yeah, definitely. Betty says, what about the Kenwood CC being closed and no program for our senior nutrition program in this area for seniors?
Seniors, it's a well, and that's another good question. So from what I'm understanding is that the Kenwood Senior Center has been they've shut it down because of some beams moving, so it's become unsafe. And I think I don't know what the city plan is yet, but I think our seniors need to be taken care of. We need to put them. We have the old CPS building on San Pedro, which the city sold for $2.7 million. Now it's being used as a migrant center. And I think we lost an opportunity there to make that building, which was the old SoloServe, if people remember that, the old SoloServe on San Pedro, a huge place. I mean, we could have made that multi-faceted, multi-use, bring in a substation, bring in a senior center, bring in areas where neighborhood associations could have their neighborhood association meetings. It could have been a multi-use facility. But the city decided to sell it. So now, when they made that the migrant center, now the city was paying the owner of that property X amount of dollars, and so we lost an opportunity there to put that, and they put that in the middle of a community that seniors are scared because of the migrants, families with children, the trash that's been created in that neighborhood, and so that's something we need to keep looking at. And for my understanding, they just extended the contract for the rest of this year. So, and now it's being operated by Archdiocese of San Antonio. So, something to look at. We need to take care of our seniors, and nutrition is vital too. Nutrition is vital.
Yeah, well, and we had those food drives a while back, a lot of the food that was being given out, a lot of the people didn't even know how to make stuff with it, or couldn't use, especially if they were either diabetic or whatever. So do you think that's wasted money, and how we could change that aspect of how we're doing these food giveaways, right, or the food bank and all that?
And I think, and I said the same thing during COVID, there was just so much food being put out there, vegetables, food with high sugar content, that would hurt. A senior person would not be able to eat all that sugar. And it's maybe we need to starting a cafeteria style. Meals on Wheels provides the food, which is something to look at. But maybe rerouting that food to maybe an organization that prepares the food, serves it, things of that nature. But it's tough. Yeah, there was a lot of food, and I did see a lot of food go to waste. And again, we don't need to be wasting food.
No, and I feel like it's going to be something that's done again and again and again until somebody speaks up about it.
Right. And again, it's all about being proactive. Let's look at the future. What's going to happen? What do we need to do? Where do we need to prepare to be ready for these events?
Right.
And we're not doing that. We're being reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah, and that's dangerous.
Absolutely.
Betty says, VIA to get into building apartments and uh, raid houses. Why their program is not about transportation.
Well, and that's what I said.
Yeah.
VIA is now getting into housing development or affordable housing development. And you'll see that right there on, what is that street? Central Via, which is on Martin Street, I believe, and Frio City Road, I believe that's what the other crossing street is. But that's the plan, is to, affordable housing, and maybe they're going to build it with no parking spaces so people ride the bus.
And then seniors don't get that food that's passed out. No transportation. Yeah, that is a lot of issues that we would see too. Is people that really needed it, that did not have transportation, they were kind of out of luck.
Right. And during that COVID time in Delview, we had volunteers that would take food to our seniors, work with several churches. And so we got the food out there, but again, it was just too much food.
Right.
And I would kind of, I would be calling everybody that I knew, hey, can you use some food? Can you know somebody that can use some food? Because I've got so much food. And it became a waste of money, a waste of food. And but again, we need to be, proactive and see how we're going to do these things going forward.
Yeah.
Should another event happen.
Yeah, we didn't need no 100 pounds of cabbage. that's what I feel like. There was a lot of cabbage in those things. It was like, come on.
Okay, a lot of cabbage.
All right. Last question. What is on your playlist? Give us a taste of what your playlist includes.
My playlist?
Yeah.
Well, I'm an 80s guy, so I love rock and roll. I love it.
Wait, are you going to sing right now?
And I think if anybody knows who Gene Simmons is, I mean, he just made an announcement and he said, hey, rock and roll is dead. And I'm like, what? What do you mean it's dead? I got a whole collection.
Right.
CDs. But no, and I like all types of music. But rock and roll would be my favorite music in my playlist. And so I've got a little iPod that I've loaded with, and that's kind of a way I de-stress, just plug it in and in my vehicle and just listen, de-stress a little bit.
Yeah. Music brings people together too.
Absolutely.
I think. What was your last concert? Did you ever? Was your last concert?
Well, my last concert was Elton John.
Oh,
so
that's right.
That was a great concert. Yeah, that was good. And so, but I mean, I've attended many concerts. I just love it.
Yeah, awesome. How do people get a hold of you? Help, campaign, donate?
Absolutely. They can get hold. I've got my phone number on my Facebook page. Working on my website. Reach out to me. I've got an email. It's Ernest at Salinas4d1.org. We're looking for having volunteers. Anybody that can help with the campaign is fantastic. Any donations that you would like to make, any amount up to $500. Ernest Salinas, Post Office Box 101047, San Antonio, Texas 78201.
Awesome.
Would appreciate anything you can give.
Awesome. Any last words that you want to say about your campaign or your mission or anything?
Well, we're going to make it fun. We're going to, I'm going to run my campaign. I'm not going to trash anybody. I'm hearing the signs are coming down and falling and everybody's pointing fingers. That's not my campaign. I want to say, I'm going to have fun running this campaign. And, if we win, if we're successful and we win, fantastic. But if we don't, well, that's still okay because, I can then retire and fade away and get more involved with my community.
Awesome. All right, Ernest. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you everybody for joining. Later on today, we will have another D1 candidate as well. So just stay tuned later on here. I believe it'll be at 1:00. So we have some time. But in the meantime, stay engaged. Keep following our Alamo City Agenda webpage on Facebook, YouTube. And then my other one as well, if you want to. I always post resources for the community as well. But please be sure to stay tuned and keep learning about who these candidates are in your on your ballot. All right,
Eric, thank you so very much.
Oh, yes, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.